All right, so let's go to some more callers. George is calling from Texas. He has a sort of broader question for you, Chris. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I actually was wondering what's the likelihood of getting certain characters that are owned by Marvel but are actually contained in the Marvel universe, like Anita Blake, Kick-Ass, Dark Reign, Dark Tower, any of those series?
Yeah, I think in a lot of those cases we don't actually own the IP, we just publish them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna, I'll just say it will definitely be all the characters that are in our universe, in the core Marvel universe.
Okay.
So, I mean, I appreciate, you know, the desire to have those characters in there, but that's a whole other licensing issue right there.
And I'm sure this was complicated enough. Now, we have every show, or almost every show, a little segment that involves Owen Good, our very own Owen Good, ranting about something. And he is not ranting about Marvel. You'll be happy to hear, Chris. But let's listen to what he has to say. Go ahead, Owen.
From the studios of Kotaku Talk Radio, I'm Owen Good with Something Negative. Ubisoft's decision to quit printing paper instruction manuals for its games at first sounded like one of those greenwashing moves that is more about shaving down costs than saving the environment. It sounded absurd to me. In a game, what necessity is more basic than having a list of the rules and how to play? And to prove my point, I reached for my nearest instruction manual. It's in a game case, behind a sliding glass door in my entertainment center, completely separate from my game discs, which are in a zip-up CD wallet. In other words, reaching for an instruction manual is like going into the back hall of my boyhood home and picking out the Q volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Of course, it's a useful reference. It's the publication of record. But as something actually used, I can't remember the last time I had to look up something in the manual. And that goes for the first day I sat down to play any of the games I have now. Like it or not, instruction manuals are steadily on the way to obsolescence. They've long since been replaced by tutorial levels, strategy guides, game facts, and standardized controls that have gamers able to instantly pick up, move around, jump, shoot, and switch weapons like it was second nature. Additionally, games are becoming so complex that the body of useful information a player should know about a game, especially a role-playing game, is too much to fit inside that thin, glossy booklet. Sports games are unbelievably complex these days, and even lack tutorial levels, and I'm amazed at the bare-bones quality of their manuals, which always seem to have 2 pages left over for notes that no one ever takes. There's no real need to write more, because half of playing this game comes from either an innate knowledge of the sport itself, or from years of playing it on a console. By the time games arrive these days, we know how they're supposed to behave on a twin analog controller or keyboard and mouse setup. And tutorial levels quickly fill us in on any variances specific to that game. Having a manual in front of you is useful, sure, but you're going to pause the game to look at it anyway, so bringing up one in a menu doesn't pose any real inconvenience. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the research Ubisoft did before arriving at this decision wasn't about the tons of paper used or the carbon footprint associated with printing manuals, but focus group interviews showing how little these expensive items were actually used. We're in an age where the decline or death of a print product is instantly something to be lamented, and I'm sympathetic to folks' feeling of nostalgia, but let's keep it in perspective. These are DVD cases and thin pamphlets, nothing at all like the boxes and instruction booklets of 1990s computer games, which will never be seen again. And if there is anything meant not just to transition out of hard copy media, but to lead that change, it would be a fundamentally digital product, like a video game. And if it leads to better tutorial levels and more convenient controller layouts and options, it's something positive, not something negative. I'm Owen Good.
Okay, Chris, so are we going to see paper instruction manuals in the game? That's all we care about.
That's purely a Capcom call. Who knows what will happen next year? I'm going to say probably.
So we're gonna try to zip through some comments and some tweet questions very quickly. Now, I remember during the press conference last week that someone did ask about the music in the game, and I sort of address it in the story, but very, very specifically, someone wants to know if "Take You for a Ride" is going to be in the game, and if so, will it be the original or sort of a remake?
I think they're still deciding on that, to be honest. It's interesting. That song is very, very polarizing. People either absolutely say, I'm not buying this game if it's not in there, or they're like, I'm not buying this game if it's in there. So,
are you which side of that are you on? Do you like it or dislike it?
I I like the idea of it. I don't know if I like hearing it on repeat as I'm selecting my character. I mean, I think I'd love to see it end there, but not in necessarily the same way that it was in the past, because it gets a little annoying.
It's okay. So here's another great question. This is someone calls this a geek question. I'll have to agree. It's an interesting one. They want to know the Marvel characters that are in the game. Which universe will they be coming from? Earth? They say Earth 616 or Earth 1610.
I think that's a DC question, actually.
No, it's actually they're asking the core mainstream Marvel universe or the Ultimate Universe when they ask that. So
correct.
Yeah.
But who gave them the numbers? Isn't that a DC numbering system? They have all Earth 1, Earth 10.
They do as well, yes, but so do we. Yeah, it will definitely be focused 616 for sure. It's really its own universe. I mean, the core kind of influence is 616, which is the mainstream continuity. But as far as the game itself, it's kind of its own. You can call it whatever number you want,
Now, so do you see yourself or see someone at Marvel having to update references after the game comes out? Like, will it have any sort of lasting impact on that main universe, the game?
On the main universe, no, probably not. I mean, it's not canon in any way. So basically, whatever happens in the game is kind of its own thing. Just like the movies are their own thing, like the Ultimate Universe is its own thing.
Well, that's good to know.